the conclusion that you would have to come to in the West is something like this. It's automatically, it's like dominoes. As soon as you say, well, yeah, I mean, there are demonic spirits. Well, then now the Bible is real. Jesus is real. You better worship Jesus because, you don't want these demons to get you. God is real. Heaven and hell is real. You better be good. You better fear God. Or you're gonna go to hell. Basically, you'll be sent to hell, but otherwise you can get into heaven. you know and what now, who will this be again? Because of course you died. I don't think there's an ectoplasmic version of your body that's actually and physical enough for you to walk actually through this milk and honey. you know totally. Logic is not everything, but in this case, when we have the apparent logic right before our eyes that this person is clearly has ceased their existence. I mean, to really postulate and to really believe this, you have to ask yourself, well, why do you believe it based on the fact that you have never seen anybody die, get up, and float into the sky? No, you got it wrong. You got it wrong. You got it wrong. The ghost, the spirit, it comes out of the body and floats to the sun and to the clouds with God. Like, what the fuck? Already fantastical notions, what I'm saying? Delusion, right? This was all created in your mind. So you got to ask yourself, where is the proof? Well, it's just like the globe. The proof is programmed into you from such a young age, or even the susceptibility to it. The fact that it's coming from a perceived authority, that also helps too. But, for the most part, because it's programmed into you. So that's your proof. Your proof is because you're programmed. It's not really because you had proof. Because, again, like I said, nature never lies. So, if you look at a human being who's born crying, like a baby, screaming like a baby, laughing like a baby, naive like a baby, like they'll stick their finger in the socket, walk off a cliff. Babies will do, you have to watch them or else, they'll hurt themselves. So that's obviously a baby's brain, a baby's mind, a baby's, because if this is a soul, then you got to think this soul has been through 1,000 plus million even transmigrations. Let's just say people who believe in reincarnation. So damn, by now, this soul is not wise enough. Because remember, the soul is supposedly manipulating the body and the senses and the mind, because you have to concede that the mind is that sixth sense. Or if you don't want to say it's the sixth sense, the mind is the metaphysical sense. It's the synthesizer of the senses, actually. But your own intellectually thinking mind, or your consciously thinking mind, the soul would be manipulating that also. So this soul has been through thousands. So not only is this soul 100 years old, not only is this soul another 60 years old from another life, not only is this soul another 80 from another life, not only is this soul another sex from another life, with a whole different perspective on relationships based on being the other sex. Not only is it another 90 years from another lifetime, all of this experience, all of this know-how, these learning how to cope with life. You're telling me now when it gets reincarnated into this newborn that was born today, that soul doesn't have enough know-how to not stick his goddamn finger in the socket. Think about it. It's bullshit. Of course, it doesn't make any sense. It's a fantastical notion. But why do you believe it? Like I said, various reasons. Because even in our culture, we're not raised. Most of us weren't raised in any reincarnation until this stuff came over into the West. This Eastern information about soul transmigration and meditating and all this. So a lot of people had actually adopted this at at an older age. Like shit, you could be 25, 30, and then when they get into the Eastern teachings, oh, so I reincarnate. you know but see, the problem was with this whole scenario, with this whole a discussion, the premise. You always got to go back to your premises. And this is the problem. You run off on a tangent because you haven't corrected your premise. It has never been demonstrated that the soul and the living body are two different things. You do know that, right? You think about it. You do realize this shit, right? Nobody's ever proven or shown this. How do you know that the soul has an independent, conscious, intellectual, even? I mean, in a sense, because you have thinking going on, independent existence apart from the living body. How do you know this though? It's because you know what? Somebody told you. you know, Basically, that's what it is. Somebody told you. Past the point of death. Think about it. Before birth and after death is what I'm talking about. Who told you about reincarnation? Or not the fact that they told you, but what premise made you believe this? And that premise, of course, is within Christianity because they talk about the soul going to heaven or hell. So you're already, again, programmed with the premise. So see how you still had the same religious premise? So you were still caught in the programming. You didn't break. See, the real programming was that is because if I can teach you that there's something even more beyond this, I can manipulate all the fear that comes from that because you're already bewildered and perplexed by death. So now I can manipulate. I mean, this is just, it's really ingenious when you think about it. It's really clever because, people is that compared with the fact that our egoism, you want to live on because this is all you know. So combined with the fact that someone, oh, they told you that you will, yeah, because they're feeding into you. See, that's what I mean by how religion is thrice removed and it's degraded, it's corrupted because they let you go off for this silly assumption that that your soul's gonna leave your body, but no one ever demonstrated that the soul was independent of the body in the sense that it's a double you. All that was really stated, and that's why I brought up Platonism, was that this is the objectification of soul, and that's why they go in Gnosticism. They talk about how the body soul is demiurgic. Both of those are considered to be demiurgic anyway. The living body mind, which is actually a unit, is actually the soul. The living body mind is the soul. These terms go back very far. They've been distorted and chopped up and there's different schools that always degrade. It's like the when you do the trick in the classroom, Sarah walked to the corner store for a piece of bubble gum or some shit. Then by the time he gets to the end of the room, it's clowns wear red shoes when they go swimming, and it's like, what the fuck? But that's really how it works. I mean, you got to think people can't even keep in one lifetime. You can't even keep a story straight in one lifetime. And all these generations come and keep keeping the story straight. Yeah, right. I mean, it's all just being distorted and degraded. But again, it's never been demonstrated. Now, what I understand as what you would call soul, this is the breath force that animates you, your living self. Because the breath relates to the consciousness. That's the metaphysical component, or it's not physical because I'm not talking about the oxygen exchange. I'm talking about the what you call a mechanism or the phenomena of it's like an inner breath. That is soul, but that breath is what developed your embryo and developed you into a being. But those breaths, because they are compresent with a living body, are temporary. So they don't, you know, you're not gonna get this inner breath of what being like the no, it's not gonna travel out of your body and go into another. That's not how it works. These energies, these phenomena are generated from the inside out. Again, like I talk about the atomic force, you have to look right in those. So if you're talking about your mother and your father, their essences, um, and the when you talk about biogenesis of the embryo, you're getting into again, you're looking from the inside out, and this is where the primordial, that breath, that would you could consider it actually, if you want to look at it from the Gnostic perspective or from the perspective of gnosis, it's sort of like a thief, even, or because I don't want to say it's false. I mean, it's real enough. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of like it's like a thief, a parasite on the what we'll just call the pure breath, and I'll just you take that where you want it. But so this is what develops a living body, and this is what maintains or allows you to have what you know as consciousness. Because people say, where does consciousness come from? Because it can't come from matter. Well, it doesn't come from matter, but it comes from this inner, this deeper breath. Like I said, not it. This breath of the lungs and mouth breathing. This is considered the upper breath, a worldly breath, a false breath, even they call it. But the foundation of that allows for consciousness is that, and then you have the upper breath, which allows for active consciousness. So that's where it comes from. So it doesn't come from the air, you know, from a previously past person, and then this inner phenomenon, like I call it the inner breath, and it goes into another person. It doesn't do that. So and that explains why you're conscious, and also why you can think and dream. Yes, it's a temporary phenomenon. It's like a microcosm of the you can call it the world idea, whatever, the intelligence that generated this thing. This is sort of like a dream, but I don't want to call it a dream. It's an artifice, and again, the ideas. That's sort of what you do when you dream on a micro level. That this is what nature does also, but it has it in a more real way, definitely. But this whole process of being able to remain, be conscious, talk, and think, and be present relates to the breath. So it has nothing to do with transmigration of soul, because that was the biggest con job, was to once they got people to believe that the soul and the body were different, they really started abusing this shit. Like, basically, you had a lot of charlatans. I mean, at the end of the day, to be honest with you, that's what a lot of. So just because it's ancient, it doesn't mean it's true. Oh, they know about reincarnation. No, that's not true. If you really research it, like even Buddhism and Hinduism, when you really get deep into it, they'll say that, well, actually, reincarnation was not original to these original doctrines originally. And then when you get into even Christianity, there's something called Christian mortalism, which a lot of Christians don't know about. But the Christian mortalism says that the soul sleeps, like dreamless sleep after death, which people really know. And this is the funny part, right? Because deep down, people know, because you're not. It's just your conscious mind is fooled, but people know that it's just the back to sleep. We go to sleep every night. There is no consciousness of you being a self. The Christian mortalists, they actually know this, but they get because they talk about this, but they get a bad rap, and you never really hear about. It's taboo, because why is it taboo? You can't have a fucking mega church. You know what I'm saying? Because then it would have to be all about this world. So, oh damn, it's really about this world. Just being charitable and compassionate, and petting lambs and shit. And it would be that's too much weight. I just believe in Jesus, and I'll try to be good as I can, and hopefully I go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? But no, Christian mortalists, they believe in, like, basically the truth, which is basically dreamless sleep. Because that's what, like I said, it's a temporary phenomenon. Now, depending on your point of view about this oneness, and we're all interconnected. All the energy in the world, I'm sure, at the core, energy driving every organic thing, every organic being. I'm sure it's at bottom, it comes from a similar source, a similar origin. So I don't think that can be denied. I mean, clearly they do. Even all of our bodies, even with the different peoples, races, nations, and creeds, we still have the similar physiology, the internal physiology. Um, Even cross species, when you go to like deers and rabbits, you'll see that deers look like rabbits. There's sort of this central template that's being used. So that proves that it's from a similar source. So depending on how you look at that, then that's how you can see this living body inner breath phenomenon arising and falling back into the arms of that. So, and that's really the true teaching on, what people call death. So, but there's nothing to fear about death. The only thing to really fear is the process. Shit. That's what everybody's scared of. But see, the reason, see, people don't get the deep teachings on it. Even in primal, even in these natural cultures living more in the natural state, they don't get the true teaching either. A lot of their cultures are, built around, um, well, not all of them. I'm not gonna say that, but some of them, when you do see when they have these, when they start getting into metaphysics, superstitions, and metaphysics, they have some type of afterlife as a consolation for the person. So we know that this is actually hardwired because the human animal can think, so we have to think about it. So this comes up, this these constellations have to come along because we're in fear of it. Now, that fear is actually the ignorance of the human animal, because knowledge would tell you, hold on, you know, because it's like fearing the time before you were born. So if you don't fear, the thousands or millions of years before this temporal phenomena emerged, if you don't have any fear for that, then why fear, you know, the millions and millions, or hopefully, less than that, but however long, this, whatever. Why fear that post infinity, you know? So, but that teaching was actually, that's the true teaching, and it's not, it sobers the mind. That's actually the true wisdom teaching on death. But see, if people knew that, like I said, you couldn't have mega churches. You could, because it's one thing they trying to do. All right, fuck it, I'll just go to church, and that'll be then I can get into heaven. It's like a reward, because you have to give this human animal a reward for something, because we won't just do shit. We need a reward. So that's the reward. But then the kings and the narcissist, they take it one step further. Not only because these guys, some of them were benevolent, so they're trying to get, the man and woman animals, tame their ways and shit. But that shit doesn't work. But they like, so the powerful people like, well, fuck it, this shit isn't working any damn way. Give me that damn book. Hook everybody. Like he said. But guess what? If you don't, you're gonna go to hell. Like, it but no, but not only, but see, okay, so the benevolent teachers, they would include hell and heaven also. But so yeah, it depends if you, because it's actually manipulative, which is really some bullshit. But it's a counter motive to get, people to change their ways. But anyway, that makes it so useful to power. And that's why you have these mostly mass religions, Judeo-Christian Islam. And if you think about, even with mass Buddhism, that's, like I said, that's been degraded and turned into, like, you literally have people worshiping statues of what they think is Buddha. Like, these people really think Buddha is God. Like, shit is fucking. But this has always been the case. Like, this is what, if you're so-called conscious or whatever, you have to just know, this is a fact, right? We should already know this. That, it's just like, we have limited intellects, but not only that, they could be programmed, so that's, or brainwashed. So, but when you start thinking about, the soul leaving the body, reincarnation, well, who told you that? How do you know? People, because people have so much confidence in this shit. Like, how do you? And it's not like flat Earth, like where you have, how you know the Earth is flat? Well, we've always known the Earth was flat. I have, but just not consciously. But I always, like I said, I always question this, driving on the highway. I'm like, hold up. Okay. Cause I'm sitting here imagining this ball. I'm like, okay, so I'm on the globe. Why is the sky like straight up? I mean, I get the whole gravity thing, but how come I'm not, like, pointed down towards the southern hemisphere, just looking at space or something? Or why does every road that I travel on keep me upright? Regardless of hills, things like that. But it keeps me leveled and upright. I'm sitting there thinking this the week before I found out, which is, I'm like, damn. So people, I'm sure people who've come across it too, they had questions, or just, not scared to question. So that's different. Like, how do you know? Come on. Okay, so that's not even an issue anymore with you know. But how the hell do you know that you're gonna reincarnate? Like, but see, or not even reincarnate. I'll start picking on heaven and hell. It's the same thing. How do you know? Who told you that? Oh, he said that. Shit. Okay. You know.